Alright, so you're new to nootropics and you have no idea where to start. Should you start with modafinil? Should you start with ashwagandha? Should you start with lion's mane? What should I start with? How much do I take? When do I take it? I have so many questions. Well, I've been in your position before. It's Mike, I review nootropics, and during this video I'll talk about 5 great nootropics for beginners. First, be sure to smash that subscribe button, give it a like and a comment below for the almighty YouTube algorithm, and let's get into the video. Nootropic number 1 would be caffeine and L-Theanine, and the benefits of this are such that you have all the benefits from caffeine in terms of your focus, your overall productivity, the energy that it gives you both mentally and physically, and then L-Theanine to help you with any unpleasant side effects. Caffeine and L-Theanine is popular because unfortunately with caffeine you usually experience the crash, you experience a lot of anxiety and jitters, and you don't feel like your natural self, whereas L-Theanine basically blunts all of that and you get the benefits of caffeine while feeling somewhat relaxed, and overall it just makes for a great productivity pill. My experience with caffeine and L-Theanine is very positive. However, I don't like taking it pre-workout. I find that it makes me a little bit relaxed, whereas caffeine, I like that intensity and I like to just have the most energy I can, and I don't mind if there's a little bit of a crash afterwards if it means that I can get a nice 90 minutes of optimal physical performance. However, with productivity, having L-Theanine with caffeine just makes you almost like Superman. It's very powerful. You'll find yourself more courageous to do things that get you uncomfortable. I find that my energy levels are up. I'm more ambitious to go after my goals. I'm more willing to get out of my comfort zone without experiencing some of the irritability and some of the anxiety that I would get from caffeine independently. Dosage, most users, including myself, benefit from taking it in a ratio of 1 caffeine to 2 L-Theanine. So something like 100 milligrams of caffeine with 200 milligrams of L-Theanine. This is a product pretty easy to find, and with caffeine and L-Theanine, it's just such that that's usually the way it's dosed. You essentially have a pill, and that's the way most manufacturers seem to produce it, 100 milligrams of caffeine with 200 milligrams of L-Theanine. If you would rather control the dosage, then of course you're welcome to get some powder form of L-Theanine, which is pretty inexpensive, where you can add more or you can decrease the amount of L-Theanine towards your liking. Side effects, really not much, probably the same things you would get from caffeine. Otherwise, I find sometimes I'm just a little bit too present, and then with respect to workouts, I find it makes me a little bit too relaxed to get an intense workout in. A lot of people ask throughout my channel if they're supposed to have this with coffee. No, this is more like a replacement perhaps for your coffee, because that would just mean way too much caffeine and then offsetting the ratio of caffeine to L-Theanine. Talk about nootropic number 2, and that is Rhodiola Rosea, which I rate in my top 5 nootropics. What are its benefits? This nootropic acts like a nap. If you're somebody that enjoys taking a power nap in the day, you pretty much feel the same way when you take Rhodiola. You get that sense of clear-mindedness, you get on track with your priorities, and it just allows you to forget any bad experiences you had prior in the day and allows you to more efficiently move forward. As far as my experience goes, I've been using Rhodiola for almost about a decade, and it still works just as effectively as it did when I initially got it. I'm very responsive to Rhodiola. I find like with 1 dose, I feel very clear-minded. It blunts my appetite to some extent, and I'm just able to productively move forward. Something really neat though is that I've not really built a tolerance to Rhodiola Rosea, as it still works as effectively as it did back when I initially tried it. Dosage, I like taking 250 milligrams sometime in the early afternoon and sometime late in that afternoon. Because it really does feel like a nap, I don't really figure there's much purpose of taking it in the morning, but there are some users who experience feeling greater energy levels throughout the day if they have a serving in the morning. Side effects, although it's considered an adaptogen, I do find it slightly stimulating, so I wouldn't advise you take it within a couple hours of sleeping, and some users do report feeling headaches, although this is quite rare. Nootropic number 3 would be Noopept. Noopept is great for concentration, really good just for overall productivity, getting through the workday, having that attitude of just do it, get things done. I don't really find that it's too effective with respect to mood or fighting anxiety or coming from a place of mindfulness and being present. More so, it just feels like a somewhat naturally occurring type of stimulating feel that you can take a dose and you'll find that it's very good for being productive for a couple of hours. My experience has been such that I like the powder a lot more than the pill form, although the pill form is effective, but you would likely have to just take more. My preferred way of taking it is right under the tongue. I really like Noopept, just what I don't like about it is how frequent you need to use it. It's only something which lasts maybe for 2 hours, so therefore you're better off taking it like 3 times a day. I've made a more extensive video which I've linked here. Although I like it a lot, I don't think it's only good for beginners, but as well people who consider themselves somewhat knowledgeable with nootropics. Dosage, this is what sets Noopept apart. It's incredibly potent. As you can see, it's such a small bottle, so something like 10 milligrams 3 times a day is enough. Side effects seem to be headaches as well. Some may build a tolerance to it. I made the mistake of taking very high amounts of Noopept and not cycling off of it, and it just led to a little bit of withdrawals, a little bit of brain fog when I came off of it. There's a surprisingly big portion of people that just don't respond well and they get headaches with it, but however, they pretty much notice it within the first few days. So it's not something that you will be able to identify as working in a couple of weeks. You'll likely notice whether or not it's doing good or doing bad in the first week of use. Nootropic number 4, and a lot of people think the world of this nootropic. It's called Bacopa Monnieri, and Bacopa Monnieri is great for fighting stress, it's great for staying present, and it's also really impressive for memory, for like your short-term memory, your long-term memory, your ability to recall things. I'm not exaggerating when I say this, but a lot of people comment on this channel saying that they can recall things from their childhood after a couple of weeks of using Bacopa. And my experience is such that it really does do all of that. It is the best nootropic for memory, in my opinion, and it also is great for fighting stress. You'll find that upon ingestion of Bacopa, you'll immediately just feel present and allow you to slow things down in a way that you can put things in a nice orderly fashion. The dosage of which I'm taking it is 300 milligrams twice per day. And then if you were to ask about the side effects, a lot of users report feeling a little bit demotivated while taking Bacopa. Some feel a little bit of a drop of libido. And this is quite common, so if you do choose to introduce Bacopa to your stack, I would suggest that you pay attention to your work ethic. And nootropic number 5 would be Piracetam, and Piracetam was the first nootropic that I had ever used, with the exception of caffeine, sometime about a decade ago. The benefits of Piracetam are such that it pretty much helps you in all areas of cognition, from your energy levels to your motivation to sleep to your ability to solve complex problems. It does all that in a very subtle way. It's not noticeable for most people until they cycle it or they try it for a few months. And that was my experience. When I first got it, I got like 2 kilograms of the stuff, and I tried it for a couple of months, then a month off, a couple of months, a month off, and then the couple months afterwards, it was very clear it was working, because every time I took it out of my nootropic stack, my school grades did suffer a little bit. My memory just wasn't there. My ability to speed read wasn't there. And that's when I noticed that Piracetam, although it's subtle, it does seem to work, and it does go well with other nootropics as well. Dosage, this is a little bit tricky. It takes most people about 10 to 14 days to notice the benefits. Something like taking it 3 times a day with a good choline source. My favorite of which is alpha GPC, which I've made a video on that I'll link right here. So where a lot of people go wrong is taking Piracetam for a couple of days and then just giving up on it. Just build that habit of having the discipline to be consistent with your nootropics. For me, it works out to something like a serving pre-workout in the morning, once again around 2 o'clock, and then another again around 7 p.m. I found that doses like a gram 3 times a day work a little bit better, and I'm not too concerned about their side effects. And so for that reason, I also do have it in the powdered form. It's like a white powder. It tastes pretty bad, but you may be able to tolerate it. As you can see, I'll just give you a glimpse. It's like this white powder. It can get into these nice Piracetam clumps, so I would suggest you ensure you don't get 1 drop of water in the bottle. The side effects, they're a little bit similar to Noopept in that many users report feeling headaches or they experience some brain fog. It's not been my experience, and it's also kind of hard to believe given that this stuff, it's really not that strong. Of course, because the effects are noticeable after a couple of weeks, that's the same thing with respect to the side effect. It's unlike Noopept, because with Noopept, you'll likely experience any side effects within the first couple of days, whereas Piracetam, it may take about a couple of weeks to really evaluate if it's good, if it's bad, or if it just doesn't do anything. And do understand that nootropics that work for others may not work for you. Get very clear on what you're trying to accomplish through nootropics, whether it be for improving your memory, whether it be for improving your energy levels. Maybe you're looking for something to help you with your mood, perhaps something for anxiety, or even something to fight fatigue for those of you who have long work days and find that last half of the workday very challenging. As well, I am by no means recommending any supplement. I would advise you to speak with your GP before introducing anything new to your supplement regimen. With respect to the effectiveness, generally speaking, you'll find that the stronger the nootropic, the stronger the side effects seem to be, which is why on my channel, the majority of the videos are supplements you can take almost on a daily basis, because these are supplements which will help you with your overall health goals, and they are to some extent having good effects overall long term. What's another nootropic that you think would be appropriate for beginners? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I do live streams a couple times a week, and I'm doing my best to build this nootropic community. Be sure to follow me on Patreon, where I put exclusive content out there that is not on YouTube. And it's Michael Dougal. I will see you all next time. know about modafinil. Now, this video will be your guide. Firstly,